99.1 FM Dallas, Georgia. Straight Talk Radio. Hello and welcome to Talking Business with Beverly. I am your host and business strategist, Beverly Wandauer. Thank you so much for joining us on this morning show. And just know that we are here to support you, the entrepreneur, in getting the clarity needed in order to create time and financial freedom in your business. And we do this by not only addressing your business needs, but also your mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial needs as well. And now, join me in welcoming Loronda C. Giddens to the show. Hello, Loronda. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Beverly. Thank you so much for having me today. I greatly appreciate your kindness.
You're welcome. You're welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic on this wonderful day.
Yes. And so, Loronda is actually joining us, and she's going to speak with us about, growing your business while working full time. She's going to share her story and just what inspired her to get started with her business. Loronda, just tell our listeners just a little bit about yourself.
Well, something a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Florida, and I've been in Atlanta for the last 20 years now, and have been here really exploring a lot of different possibilities. I actually came here on business. I was still working in the corporate field and came here on a business trip, and literally just fell in love with Atlanta, and one thing led to another, and here I am fast forward 20 years later, and I'm actually celebrating my 20th year this year, so that's been wonderful.
Yes, awesome. And so, Loronda, before we actually dive into the heart of our conversation today, I love to ask my guests just three random questions, a little game that we play. So, are you game to play the game?
I am game to play the game, Beverly.
Awesome. Okay, so tell me, what's one movie that you can watch over and over and over again?
Oh, wow. I would say Love and Basketball. Anytime that movie comes on, literally, I can sit and watch it like I've never seen that movie before. So that's one of my favorites.
Yes, we are going to have a wonderful conversation because that is mine too. So I already know this is going to be great. Yes. Okay, so tell me, Loronda, are you a morning or a night person?
I'm an all-day kind of person. I'm morning, I'm night, I'm midday, just whatever I need to do in the morning, in the night, in the evening. I'm an all-around kind of girl.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And then the last question, what is your favorite season? So winter, spring, summer, or fall?
Wow, I probably would have to say spring because, like I said, I'm originally from Florida, and you don't really see a change of seasons in Florida. So spring is my favorite time. You get to see the flowers blooming and the birds chirping and the bees buzzing. So, yeah, springtime is definitely my favorite.
I love it. I felt like I was just in the movie. The bees are buzzing, the birds are flying. I love it. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Loronda. And now we're going to go ahead because our listeners are definitely wondering and wanting to know, how to grow our business when we are working full time. So tell us, what kind of business do you have?
Well, I own a training and speaking services business, and I also do one-to-one personal coaching. So the speaking is more of keynote speaking and doing workshops for different organizations, government agencies, corporations, universities, and different schools, and then working with individuals as a personal coach.
Okay. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And so how did you actually get started in your business?
Well, Bev, let's just be honest. We're about to have a real honest conversation.
Yes, that's what we want.
I started my business out of frustration. Like I said, I worked in the corporate world for about roughly 13 years. I've been working with state government for about 15 years. And I had just really felt like I had reached a plateau, with my current job, and I just didn't really see any other possibilities for promotion or anything like that. I just kind of, I just started a business as a result of my frustration. That's honestly how I got started. But since that, frustration 2 years ago, actually, I recently just got promoted in my job. So that's an amazing thing that just happened. So I'm very happy about that.
And so, and I know our listeners can relate to, starting a business out of that frustration. And so, for you, what was that frustration? Like, what was actually going on where you were just like, you know what, I need something of my own. So what was some of that frustration? Because once again, I know our listeners can identify with what it is that you're saying.
I was just really feeling stagnant, and I just in work, I was feeling stagnant. I was feeling stagnant in my personal life, and I was going through a lot personally. I was, been diagnosed with breast cancer a few years prior. And, it was literally, in addition to the frustration part, was literally figuring out what my purpose was and what was I supposed to be doing. And I would drive to work every morning, and I'm like, okay, God, I know that there's something else that I should be doing with my life. What is that thing? And when I asked that question, literally, I just felt like my whole world just opened up. I was able to figure out what my purpose was. I literally found my purpose working in my 9 to 5. And once I figured that out, I mean, my whole world it literally changed. It shifted. So just really taking heed to and paying attention to your life and understanding sometimes when you're feeling stagnant, it's not really about, there's nowhere for you to go or anything for you to do. You should be figuring out what that next right move is. Oprah always says, what is that next right move that you're supposed to be making in your life? And I just literally had to get still to figure out and to listen to what that next right move was for my life.
Oh, wow. Wow. And once again, I know we can relate to that, like you said, that stagnation, hitting that plateau. And so you said for you, to figure out what your purpose was, what your passion was, like you had to get still and listen. So would you recommend that, to someone else that's saying, yes, Loronda, I completely understand. They're either in their car or they're at their desk at work and they are shaking their head like, yes, that I'm feeling the same way. So what advice would you give someone that's still in that same stagnation right now? They plateaued. They're like, there are no promotions going on, don't necessarily want to change careers at this point. What advice would you give?
Figure out what you're supposed to be doing. Because a lot of times we get so distracted by being stagnant or feeling like we're not going anywhere. I think that's a critical time and a critical moment where you're being given messages all around you, but you're not really paying attention because you're so focused on the stagnation, the frustration. Just literally get still and figure out what you're supposed to be doing, because life signs literally are all around you. It's all around you. And you just really have to get still and look at your life in a way that you never have before. I mean, you really have to dissect that thing. Look at things that you're really good at doing. Look at things that you would just literally do for free, and find a way to monetize your skills, your gifts, your talents. Figure that thing out. I mean, you may even just want to move up within your organization, and that's okay too. I'm not saying that everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, but it may just mean that you want to move up within your organization. Okay, well, if that's the case, then you need to figure out what classes you need to take in order to put yourself in a better position to leverage yourself to a promotion, or maybe go to another department. Don't be afraid of stepping outside of something that you're uncomfortable with or you're unfamiliar with. You've got to push yourself outside of your comfort zone, because if you continue to just kind of stay where you are and rely on that, you'll sit in that same position forever.
Oh, wow.
And complain every single day.
And that's the key word, because I was going to ask, how do I know when I know, for a lot of us, and you mentioned a term that I use all the time, you said comfort zone. And so, are you saying that when I get to that space where I'm feeling comfortable that it's time to make a move, or is it, I'm feeling comfortable, but plus I'm also having these feelings of there should be something more that I should be doing? So when should I make? Oh, okay, go ahead. Tell me.
Both, absolutely, both. If I'm in a space for too long, I always feel like that I need to be doing more. And even with everything that I do, I still feel like, okay, you really could be doing more than what you're doing. So I'm always pushing myself, always challenging myself to get to my next level of greatness. And I never know what that next level of greatness is. I just keep moving forward, because I always know that there's something more, and there's a higher level that I can be operating. There's a higher vibration that I should be moving in the world. So that's just my own personal thing. I'm constantly moving and striving to be the best person that I can be.
Awesome. Oh my goodness. Yes. So always daily, I like that, asking that question. What else should I be doing? Or what else could I be doing? Is there something more? Some key guiding questions.
Absolutely. And I think when you start, and this is how it happened for me, literally, I would drive to work and I would say, okay, God, I know there's something more that I should be doing. What is that thing? And I think when you start asking those critical questions, because these are questions that are literally going to change the trajectory of your life. So when you start asking those questions and you're still long enough, you sit still long enough for the answer, they're going to come. And it's not like you have to figure it out or try to, stress yourself out trying to, okay, well, how am I going to, no, don't worry about how. Just ask the question, get still, wait for the answer, and the answer will appear. I promise you.
And I think you just hit on something very key. And I don't know if it's just a woman thing and we're so used to taking care of everything, but you hit on something key. You said don't worry about the how. Because I'm a planner, Loronda. I'm a planner. I need to know ABC, but you said don't worry about the how. And that to me, I'm just like, wait a minute, how do I not worry about the how? So for you, what do you say? How do I not worry about the how?
Bev, you honestly have to, and this is what I had to do. It's like I had gotten to a point, I had turned 50 years old, and I had gotten to a point where I literally felt like I have gone as far as I can go on this road that I'm currently on. Literally, I felt that in my body. There was nowhere else that I could go on this particular road. So then all of a sudden, I was kind of standing, at a fork in the road thinking, okay, well, either I'm going to continue on this same route, or there's this new road that opened up and appeared just out of a conversation I was actually having with my director. And this new road appeared, this new spiritual path in my life opened up. And when I started walking on that path, Bev, I'm telling you, my whole mindset shifted.
Wow.
And the mindset was, the only thing you have to do is prepare yourself. Don't worry about how this thing is going to happen. Just dream big, see the vision of what you want, and go for that. Prepare yourself for that thing. Because when opportunity shows up, You don't have time to get ready. You got to be ready. When opportunity says, hey, I'm here, well, opportunity, no. You don't have time for that. You don't have time for the hemming and the hawing. You just don't have time. People get so caught up in, now think about it this way. I'm driving to work every day as a 9-to-5er, and I'm thinking big dreams. My dream is to fly around the world on a private jet, inspiring people to live their best life and to help them create the life that they want. That's my dream. So every single day, I have a mantra that I speak out loud from 285 to the jet. One day I'm going to be driving on 285, and the next day I'm going to be on that private jet, flying around the world, inspiring people to live their best life, helping people to create the life that they want. Now, if I sat in that car trying to figure out how I'm going to get to that jet, it's none of my business.
Yes.
It's not my business how it's going to happen.
Okay, I get it. That makes sense. And once again, my listeners as entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs, yes, we're talking about things that even, that impact my business. So if I want to move to the next level of my business, once again, make sure that we're ready, but not necessarily focusing on the how as much. And so that's mental preparation as well.
Absolutely. Everything is a mindset, Bev. Everything is a mindset. If you don't have the right mindset as an entrepreneur, this thing is not happening. It's just not happening.
Oh my goodness. The right mindset, of course, is going to be key as that entrepreneur. Oh my goodness. And even, like you said, those that are working there even 9 to 5, maybe that's what they desire to do, or they may desire to transition into something else. But you're saying no matter what, the right mindset is going to be key. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you're a 9 to 5er, and you want to get a degree, if you want to finish your degree, if you want to finish that book, whatever that thing, everybody has a dream, Bev. Everybody has their it thing that they want to do. There's nothing wrong with being 9 to 5. I'm a 9 to 5er. I love being a 9 to 5er. But one day, my desire is to transition to that private jet that I was talking to y'all about. But you know what I'm saying? You got to be able to have that dream, and a lot of 9 to 5ers have dreams. I talk to 9 to 5ers all the time, and they have things that they want to do, they desire to do, but they're afraid because they don't see how it's going to happen. They get caught up on the how. Don't focus on the how. They stop dead in their tracks because they cannot visualize or see how they're going to get to that big dream that they want. And the big dream could be finishing a degree, like I said, or writing a book, or some may want to start a business, or whatever their thing is. They're afraid because they can't see how it's going to happen. Wow. So that fear, do they even recognize that it's fear, or is that fear cloaked in something else? Like, do they realize that it's actually fear?
Cloaked. Cloaked in something else. Yeah.
So how do they actually recognize it? Yeah, how do they recognize that it's actually the fear? Because I say it's excuses, but how do they? Oh.
But excuses is fear too. That's a manifestation of fear. So everything that it may look like, whatever you want to call it, anxiety, whatever it is you want to call it, it all results into fear. It's all about fear. Whether it's fear of success or fear of failure, fear of what people will think, just fear.
Oh my goodness, that makes sense. And you just said something. And this is something that, wait a minute, you said people fear success. I need you to explain that to me, because that seems a little odd. Why would I fear success? Explain that.
Well, because when you achieve something, you have a goal or something that you want to achieve, and you're successful at that thing, people expect for you to keep going. They expect you to look like, okay, what have you done lately? Like, okay, you did this, you were successful at that, you achieved that, you wrote a book, so what? Now what? Now what?
Oh, that's good. So once again, being able to keep up with what I've started.
Yeah, maintain that.
So that's amazing, talking about that fear of success, because some people, wait a minute, I don't understand how I could fear success, and Loronda just broke it down for us. So you guys, this is just the beginning of an amazing conversation, so make sure that you remain with us, because we will be back right after these messages. and welcome back to Talking Business with Beverly. I am your host and business strategist, Beverly Wathauer, and we have been spending some time with amazing conversation. And so on the call, we have Miss Loronda Giddens, and she has been just pouring into us. And so she's just been speaking with us about actually a couple of different things, but she left off with talking about mindset and how your fears can pretty much keep you stuck in a situation. And she talked to us, and one key thing that she said, although she said a lot of key things, she spoke about not focusing so much on how something is going to get done, but have a shift in your mindset of where you're really focusing on where you want to be, and then making sure that you prepare yourself mentally to get there. And so, Loronda, are you still with us?
I'm still with you, Bev. We're rolling today.
Yes. So, like I said, you definitely dropped some amazing knowledge on us before that break. And so, one thing that you mentioned that I want to kind of circle back to a little bit, you said that you have a training and speaking organization. And so I know a lot of our listeners, they do have a desire to speak, to be a speaker. And so, but their thing is, I don't know what to speak about. So I want to ask you, what do you draw from to actually inspire you as a speaker?
Life experiences. I literally draw from my life experiences, and I draw from just general conversation I'm having with people. And it's funny because a lot of times, I'm having a conversation with someone, and either I'll say something or they'll something. And my friends are people that I'm around. They're so used to it. They're so accustomed to it now. I'll say, hey, stop, wait a minute. Let me jot that down real quick. Let me make a note just to remind myself that I either need to come back to that. Either it's going to end up in a book, as a chapter, or it may end up as a workshop. It may end up as a quote on my, my social media. It could end up as anything. So I'm inspired by the things that are around me. I'm very aware, very self-aware of a lot of things. So just general life, just everyday life, I'm inspired by that.
Oh, wow. And so
for you, create from that space.
Awesome. And so for you, how do you know what to share when it comes to your life? Because I know, some people are like, either one, nobody's going to care to hear my story, or, I don't want to share too much because I don't want people to know that I went through X, Y, Z. So for you, how do you determine which pieces of your life to share with your audiences?
I really feel that, I'm transparent. So anything, and it's funny because I never used to be that way. I was extremely so private. If you didn't know me personally, you had no idea what I was doing. Like, you just didn't have a clue. And it's funny. I've only been on social media for the last 2 years, and the only reason I got on social media is because someone said to me one day, if you're planning on starting a business, you need to have a social media presence. And that's the only reason I started. But now I don't feel that way. I feel that, through telling our life stories, we're able to heal other people, and we make it okay for other people to come out and share their stories. So that's why I just don't have an issue with sharing my life with people, because I feel it's a source of healing for people. Because they can look at my life and say, well, oh, wow, I've been through that I've been through that myself, or I know someone. They can identify with that. People connect with you through hearing about your stories and you sharing. So I really don't have an issue with that.
Okay. So for you, once again, definitely sharing the story, because like you said, it allows people to connect with you, and then that also can help in the process of someone else's healing.
Absolutely.
Wow. Thank you. So now, Loronda, let me ask you this, because you mentioned this a couple of times, and I know this is true for some of my listeners as well. Now, you mentioned that you still work full-time, and you have your speaking business, you have your coaching business. So the next question is, how in the world do you balance it all? How do you do it?
Bev, I am the type of person that I'm used to having a lot of things like going on, and it's not just a bunch of random things. So just as an example, I'm accustomed to kind of balancing a lot of different things. So at one point in my life, I was working 2 full-time jobs and going to graduate school, if you can even imagine that. So, working a full-time job and having a business is real easy for me, because I'm doing something that I love and I'm doing something that I enjoy. So it makes it easy. It doesn't really feel like work for me. I just feel like I'm creating something that will change someone's life, and that's just how I look at it.
Wow. Wow. And I think that's key. That's what kind of keeps you going. Like you said, it doesn't really feel like work. Like it's not something else you have to do.
No.
Very interesting.
I think when you
awesome,
have that,
awesome.
Yeah, I think when you have that, you have something that you created that you feel like you're laboring or you're hustling or you're, working hard for. I mean, not to say that I don't work hard. That's not it. It's different when you're doing something that you enjoy doing, that you love to do. Like, I'll just give you an example. Last night I was up till 2 o'clock this morning working on some finishing touches on another book that I'm writing. So, I mean, that's just something that you enjoy doing. I love to create different things, and I love to be able to do something that's going to change someone's life.
Awesome. I love it. And so are there any strategies or anything that you do to kind of work with your time management? Because I know that's another thing, trying to keep all the balls up in the air. Are there any strategies that you use to make sure that you are managing your time effectively?
Yeah, well, every morning I meditate, so that helps for me to maintain my mental clarity. So I don't get bogged down with a bunch of things that distract me throughout my day. So, like I said, I'm inspired throughout my day. I jot down things constantly. And when I get home, like, I don't really have a routine per se. I'm just kind of one of those people, like, when the mood hits me or when the spirit hits me, like, especially like first thing in the morning is like when I get that download from God in the morning, and it's like I can write a full chapter or a full paragraph early in the morning after I meditate, because the information is coming so quickly that I have to literally take my phone, and I write books on my phone. So in the notes section of my book, in the notes section of my phone, I write books and research papers. That's kind of how I was doing things, and it just became a habit. So you have to find ways of things that work for you. In the evenings, I work best in the evenings as far as like working on projects or something like that. In the mornings, it's more of the writing process. So it's just kind of that kind of thing. I just kind of balance it out. If it takes me, let's say if I start at like maybe 10 o'clock at night, I can go for like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and still wake up at like 6, 6:30 and get ready for work. So it just depends on what I'm doing.
I love
what kind of timelines I set for myself.
I love it. And just like you said, that underlying reason, that motivator, is the fact that you absolutely love what it is that you do. I love it. And then, now, you mentioned this a little earlier. You mentioned social media. And so you mentioned the fact that if I tried to find Loronda on social media before 2 years ago, it wasn't happening.
No, ma'am.
So tell me, for you, how do you use social media in your business?
Well, I literally started, because I love quotes. I've been writing quotes for, over 30 years. I love quotes and affirmations, and I used to read a bunch of different affirmations from Iyanla Vanzant and Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer, all these different people, Oprah Winfrey, and I just always surrounded myself with positive words and affirmations, and I just started writing my own, and that's what I did on social media, because I was trying to figure out, okay, well, what am I going to be doing on social media? What am I going to post? I mean, nobody is interested in a selfie, so I just started posting quotes. And that's kind of how I got started. I figured every morning, I drop a little wisdom, a little nugget, something to inspire people, something to motivate people. So that's literally how I got started in social media.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so now, how do you currently use it now? So you started off with the quotes, and so now how does it impact your business now?
Well, I still do the quotes, and I do a lot of networking on social media, and it's funny because I joined this amazing Facebook group. I mean, it's an amazing Facebook group, a great group of people, probably about 17,000 people. And I mean, the engagement and the interaction of the administrators of the group and the people that are in the group are very supportive of one another. And it's just a great source of information and resources and opportunities. So that's one of the main things that I do on social media is networking and looking for opportunities and looking for opportunities to provide to others. And that's mainly what I use it for, is networking.
Awesome. And so now I know some of my listeners, and they're like, okay, wait a minute, I'm on social media too, and you mentioned networking. Like, how do you find those networking opportunities on social media? Like I said, a lot of times I'm scrolling through my stuff, I don't see anything related to networking. So how do you actually use it to specifically do the networking aspect of it?
Well, you have to be strategic. You have to be strategic in everything you do. So a friend of mine told me, because I wasn't on Facebook, like I said, wasn't on social media at all, and she recommended, she says, you should get into, there's different Facebook groups that are out there. So I just started putting in subjects and topics that were, my interest, speaking and, being an author and writing, and that's what I looked for. And I found an amazing group, and that group, I've been in that group probably for about a year and a half now. And some amazing opportunities have come from that group. And just the interaction, like I said, from the people in the group. It's like we're a little family. It's a little tribe of people. And it's just really great. And I think that's the place where I was able to find my tribe. And I was honestly looking for a tribe. I'm like, where are my people? Where are they? And I found them.
Oh, that is very interesting. And so I like what you said, first of all, that word strategic, like I have that circled and underlined and highlighted. I love that word strategic. And so, you said you were even strategic in looking for the types of groups that you wanted to become a part of in that online space. So now tell me, what type of opportunities have you been afforded, based on using your social media? What types of things have you been able to secure and do and all that good stuff because of social media?
Wow. Okay, so it's July, and literally January, I was reading a post from someone in the group, and they had posted this post back in December of 2017, and they were looking for guests to be on their radio show, an international radio show in the Bahamas. And I figured, this post has been out here for a while. Maybe they're, no longer looking for guests. I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and just send an inquiry anyway, just to see if that person's still looking for guests. And absolutely, she, messaged me back immediately, and we set up a date and time for me to record the show. And now I'm an international speaker. I was speaking, in the Bahamas on her radio station, and it was amazing. It was really great. I talked about 6 strategies for living your best life. And I'm in another group, a group of authors, and the administrator had posted something about, as authors and speakers, we need to get more media coverage and, more exposure in the media. So she posted something asking people in the group if they were podcasters. If you're a podcaster, post your information so so the people in the group could be a guest on your podcast. And a guy posted that he was a podcaster. I connected with him and did my first podcast several months after the radio show, and then another podcast and another podcast. I mean, I've got podcasts scheduled for, the next couple of months, and radio shows and a TV show. I mean, it's just been, and I mean, that's how you and I met, through social media and networking. It's really all about not just looking for opportunities, but providing opportunities for people as well as building relationships. It's really about building relationships and getting to know people. And, when they post something and they want, you to come on their show, or you have an opportunity for them, just being able to help each other. That's what it's really all about.
Yes, and I love what you said. And I just want my listeners to hear someone say that, yes, they've been able to use social media, and with those opportunities, not only have they built amazing relationships, but like you said, the type of media exposure, so from podcasts to doing radio, doing television, all because you decided that, hey, although I did not have a presence 2 years ago, I do now. And then
now, y'all.
There you go, exactly, and you're going to use it effectively.
Absolutely. Oh, I forgot to tell you about one other thing that I had an opportunity.
Yes.
I'm a brand ambassador. There's a new women's empowerment brand that's coming up, and we're actually going to Vegas in a couple of weeks to launch that brand, do a photo shoot, and that was a result of, networking on social media and building relationships with people.
Oh my goodness. I really and truly hope that this, the listeners are leaning in, first of all, and really hearing what it is that you're saying, and knowing that there's certainly a space for you in the online platform, social media, that you can use it, and you can use it effectively. But once again, you use that one word again that's, like I said, it's circled and highlighted. I have it highlighted in green, and you said being strategic with what it is that you're doing. Because I didn't hear you say that you joined 1,000,001 groups and that you're running to everything. You said you were very strategic in what it is that you're doing.
Not.
Yes,
Absolutely
okay.
not.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and we're going to talk more about that piece of the networking and running around and doing everything, but once again, being very strategic. So you guys, once again, Loronda has been providing us with amazing nuggets. So once again, talking about this being strategic and how she's been using social media to secure various opportunities and to build amazing relationships with people. And so we are coming back with Loronda right after these messages. Welcome back to Talking Business with Beverly. I am your host and business strategist, Beverly Walthauer, and we have been spending time with Loronda C. Giddens. She has been providing us with some amazing information just on, entrepreneurship, mindset. Before we went out with the messages, she was sharing with us her strategy and what she's been doing as far as social media to be able to secure additional opportunities for her business. And so once again, Loronda, I want to thank you just for the time you spent with us so far. I know our listeners are enjoying this information.
Thank you, Ben, for having me.
You're welcome. Now, before those messages, we were talking about how, you use social media. You mentioned the networking aspect of social media. And I know also that, some people, they put all their eggs in one basket. And when I say one basket, that's all, they rely solely on social media for their networking. Is that what you do? Do you only do your networking through social media and the opportunities that you find via social media?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. So, I use the word strategic. That's not a lifestyle strategist because there has to be a strategy behind what you're doing. So I have a friend of mine who is a serial networker. When I first met him, he was a serial networker. I mean, he was at every event, every networking event, and he would invite me, and I said, you know what, absolutely not. Because literally, it's a lot of energy that you're spending when you're out and you're mixing and mingle with people. So not just social media online, you have networking online, you have to do networking offline as well. It's no different. You're building relationships, you're meeting people in person, and you have to be strategic about the events that you attend. You can't go to 11 networking events a month. That's just too much. It's too much. So with me, I would say on an average, I may do 2 or 3 maybe networking in-person events a month. Like last night I did one. I'm doing one this evening, and I think I have one next week. And that's it. That's it for me. But it's very strategic. So, and people wonder, well, what networking events should you attend? You've got to do your research. You've got to be strategic. What are you interested in? You have to look at what your interests are. What are you doing with your business? How does networking relate to your business? And find your niche. You've got to find your place. You've got to find your tribe. And once you find your tribe, you can kind of narrow it down. So you may find 10 different places to, go attend networking events, but there's probably maybe only 1 or 2 that really fits your needs. And you've got to do the research and find that and attend a couple of events and just to see what it's like and to get comfortable with attending these events.
Oh, okay, that's good information. So, say for instance, I do have this opportunity, I may be searching out, a platform and I do see 10 events. And I'm like, okay, there are 10 events, how can I narrow it down so that I'm not, spending so much of my time and energy just running to different networking events? Is there something that you do or that you use to kind of help you decide, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this one, but I'm not going to do that one? Like, is there anything that you do to actually help you decide which ones to attend?
Yeah, I'll, hop on their social media page to see what other people are saying about the events. So kind of like to check the reviews, so to speak, to see what people are saying. And then just kind of show up. Just show up. And you can, sometimes you can it's a process of elimination. You may have to show up at maybe 3 or 5 events just to eliminate. And some of them you may eliminate right off the bat just because either maybe it's too far away from where you live or you just may not have an interest or, whatever the case may be. But it's just really, a process of elimination and, you just literally find your way. But I just don't believe in, extending myself or overextending myself to all of these different events. Because literally, if I wanted to, living in Atlanta, there's an event happening every single night. I literally could be at an event every single night if I wanted to. And I just don't have a desire to do that. That's just not my personality anyway.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So now, because you do a lot of the networking events, when I am at a networking event, so I'm an entrepreneur, and I know sometimes, I hear people say, I don't know how to network. So do you have some advice? So like once I'm at an event, is it just a matter of me just tossing someone my business card? Like what do I do once I'm there?
do not walk up to somebody and pull out your business card and shove it in their face. Don't do that. That's not a good thing to do. That's very it's disrespectful, really. It's really disrespectful because you really want to connect with the person. So I'll give you an example of what happened to me last night. I was at a launch party for WeWork. They just opened up a new location in Atlanta. And this young man, this millennial, came up to me, and as he was walking past me, he was looking at me, like, in my eyes, as if he knew me. And he said to me, hey, I think I know you. Didn't we meet at another event? And he named off this different event. And I said, no, but he goes, your face just looks so familiar. You look like this person that I knew. And so based on that, we just literally struck up a conversation. And, we, just based on that, just kind of familiarity. And I get that all the time. People always walk up to me and they say, oh, you look so familiar. So maybe that may be a strategy in itself. Just walking up to a person and saying, hey, you look familiar. Did we meet at a prior event? So I think I think he duped me, really.
Now that I think about it.
Yeah, so, we struck up a conversation, and we were talking about our social media, and he was telling me about, his strategy. I mean, this young millennial, this guy, he was telling me what he did. He's a financial advisor, and he was telling me about these different corporations where he's been speaking, and he was saying how, he no longer wants to speak for free, and we were kind of talking about those different things. And then he said to me, well, we started talking about social media, and I asked him how many followers did he have. And this kid said he had 12,000 followers, and he's only been on social media probably like maybe a year.
Oh, wow.
And I said to him, okay, wait a minute. I need to see your phone. Pull out the phone. Let me see these 12,000 followers. I need to see these people. And I need to see what you're posting. I need to see what you're saying to people, how are you engaging people. So that's the kind of conversation we were having. So those are the type of things that happen organically that you can't even predict. And that's the type of thing that you want to happen at networking events, just things that happen organically. Or you may just be standing next to someone who's standing alone. And, based on that, you could, strike up a conversation because, more than likely, whenever you attend an event, you're not going to know anyone unless you bring someone with you. And usually I have a friend of mine that will come with me at my networking events, and sometimes I show up alone. And those are the most uncomfortable for me, believe it or not, because if I don't know someone going into, whether it's a party or, a networking event, it's a little uncomfortable and it's a little unnerving for me initially when I walk in. But then when I meet someone, then it becomes a little bit more comfortable. But initially, there's a lot of people out there who are introverts. So what I'm saying to them right now, they're just like, I can't even relate to anything you're saying about going into an event and doing all these different things. And I literally, honestly, Bev, I had to talk to myself. I had to have a conversation with myself last year about getting out more and being more social. And because I'm an ambivert, an ambivert, we're the type of people that when we have to be on, we're on. And when we're not, we're not. When I'm at home, I'm not. I'm just that person. I'm chill, I'm relaxed, and, that's just the way it is. So, it's a delicate balance. But if you're just a straight introvert, it's torture, literally. So I'm torturing someone right now by telling them that, all these different things that you can do, but you have to work up to it. If you really want to be, whatever it is you choose to be, you've got to find a way to overcome that fear of being with other people and socializing, and that's just something that you have. That's just a part of what you have to do.
Yes. And one thing that I heard, when you mentioned the online networking and when you mentioned the offline networking, I circled this as well. You said connect with people and build relationships with people. And so that's one thing I really feel like some people kind of overlook. They're like, oh, my gosh, I have to sell this service. Oh, my gosh, I have to sell this product. Oh, my goodness, I have to pass out 50 business cards. But that's not what you're saying.
Not at all. Not at all. Because organically, things happen authentically and organically. It comes out better that way. So if someone walks up to me and shoves a business card in my face and tells me all about their business and services and what they can provide and what they can do for me, I'm immediately turned off. look at me in my eye, connect with me as a human being, then I may be more interested in what you're saying about your business and services after we've gotten through all of that. But a lot of times in networking events, that's just what people do. Or, the first thing they ask you is, well, what do you do? That question drives me insane. So this is what I do when people ask me that question. Ask me the question. Go ahead and ask me the question, Beth.
So, Loronda, what is it that you do?
Oh, wow. I do a lot of things. I'm a keynote speaker. I'm an author. I'm a lifestyle strategist. I'm a business owner. I'm also a 9-to-5er. And then I get the dead silence. Like, what? It kind of throws people off. They don't know where to start. Like, what question should I ask her? Like, where do we go with this conversation? Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's usually, my little strategy. And it just kind of strikes up conversation because then people are like, wait a minute, you own a business and you work a 9-to-5 and you write books and you're a keynote speaker and you do, yes, I do all of those things.
Oh my gosh, yeah, don't do people like that. They're looking around like, what? No.
I do it all the time.
Awesome. And now you mentioned a couple of times that you write books. So tell me, what has inspired you to write your books?
It's interesting, Bev. I have one book that I've been writing since, I think, 2001. So here we are, 2018. And at some point during that process, and I don't even know what inspired me back then to write the book. I just felt like I had so much to say, and I felt like, I could help people based on what I was saying. And that's kind of how, that got started. But that book has been semi-autobiographical, and I've been writing that book, and I feel like I'm kind of I've reached the end of that chapter, literally. And at one point when I was writing that book, I was getting frustrated. I was thinking, man, and this was just a few years ago, I was like, man, this book is taking forever to write. And a friend of mine, a very interesting friend of mine, said to me, a young man that I mentor, he said to me, Loronda, you're still living the art of this book. I said, what? You're living the art of the book? He's like, yeah, you're still living your life. So that chapter, the book hasn't completed itself yet. Once you get to a space where you reach the end of the book, you'll know. And when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, that's when the book started wrapping itself up, literally. And then other books came. I've written 3 other books that have come out long before this one, and this is like the main book, the big book. But then the 3 babies came, literally, I've been pregnant with all, and I still have 3 more books that I'm writing currently, in addition to that 4th book, the main book. So there's like 4 books that I'm juggling right now. And I was literally pregnant with all of these books, and books started kicking. I started getting, those, what are they called? I've never been pregnant before. I can't even think of, what are the pains that
the contractions?
Yeah.
Yes.
I started feeling contractions. Like, wait a minute, I'm about to give birth to a book right now?
Wow.
How is this happening? And the book, literally, it started kicking. And I was like, okay, I need to go ahead and write this book. And then another one came, and then another one came. So I gave birth to triplets, like, within a matter of a year and a half time. It was crazy.
Like, oh my God. Wow. Oh my goodness. So that has been so amazing. So Loronda, you have been speaking with us, just about your journey as a trainer and a speaker. You mentioned that you're a lifestyle strategist. You've been speaking to us, dropping nuggets in our spirit, just about, not necessarily focusing on the how, but just making sure that we're ready for what's next. Because when we're ready to get outside that comfort zone, we need to be ready for that. And then, yes, and you spoke with us about networking. And so my question to you, because, you have a lot going on and it's amazing things. So for you, what does living your best life look like for you?
Like every day, Bev, I'm living my best life. Every single day, every single moment, I'm living my best life. So it's not about, reaching a certain place in my life or a certain destination. This is a journey. So every single day something reveals itself. I learn something about myself every day. I learn something about the world. I learned something about God and deepening my relationship with Him. And the more I deepen my relationship, the more He reveals to me. And I'm just amazed. So every day I'm living my best life. So it's not about anything financial or anything tangible or any possession. It's just literally being the best Loronda C. Giddens that I can be. And that's what I strive for every single day of my life, just being my best.
Wow, wow. And that is amazing. And that's an amazing, piece of information to even lead to our listeners, because once again, I may not be where I want to be at this moment, but just like you said, just enjoying where you are right now, and those days, just learning daily about yourself. Oh my goodness, about God, the world around you. That is amazing. And so, Loronda, what is your website and or email address so that our listeners can find out more information about you?
My website is www.lorondacgiddens.com. That's LORONDACGIDDENS.com.
Thank you. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And once again, Loronda, I do want to thank you so much for spending time with us, once again, imparting your wisdom and your knowledge onto our listeners. You have shared amazing information with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Bev, for having me. And I think this is just an amazing platform for you to be able to share and to help others and to get people prepared for their next level of greatness. That's what this is really all about, preparing people for their next level of greatness. So thank you so much for your kindness. I greatly appreciate you having me today.
Thank you, and you enjoy. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back right after these messages.
Counseling and Psychotherapy Centers has been serving the Chicagoland area for 37 years. We develop personalized plans to help individuals, couples, and families lead healthier and more productive lives. Our specialties include anxiety, depression, relationships, addictions, and more. Visit us at perspectives-counseling.com to learn more or call 866-296-5262 for your first visit. Life happens. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is unnecessary. It's all about perspective.